Last Thursday, the 24th of October, the Underlords team pushed what they called the Big Update, which was essentially the stopgap between the open beta of Underlords and the full release Season 1 version of DOTA Underlords. This brought the game's namesake, the Underlords, into the fold, and even though we know of at least 10, two of them, being Hobgen and Anesix, were pushed forward and introduced an entire new dynamic to the auto-battler system. And all of that's great. The game is shaping up to be quite feature-rich and incredibly polished on its art and user interface. However, we obviously know that the game is still technically in early access. The big update was not the full release Season 1 push that Adrian Fanal and his friends have been teasing. We know Season 1 will be shipping sometime before the end of the year, and lucky for us, the big update was big both in terms of the gameplay content and the internal files that leaked. There has never before been an update in my entire professional career that has held as much information on the near future of a game than this one. So let's go over everything that we know will be introduced into DOTA Underlords. First, we know that Meepo, Rubik, Vengeful Spirit, Wraith King, and Night Stalker are going to be added sometime between now and the end of 2019. The models from Dota 2 have been imported. Scripting to be able to add these heroes into a playable game exists, although I haven't been able to get it to work, and we also have all of the units' particle effects, model attachments, and materials already available in the game, ready to be pushed at any time. Of course, we also know that the Outlanders update, something that was announced at TI9, will also be pushed into Underlords, meaning Void Spirit and Snapfire will be making their way into Underlords sometime in 2019. Due to some proto buff and icon leaks, we have some new alliances to look forward to. Spectral, Meepo, Wisp, and Commander. Some of these may be early versions of things that were already implemented, such as Commander turning into Champion, while others, like Wisp, could have just been an early implementation of Aya. Of course, by the end of the year, we will be seeing the other two White Spire Underlords, Jull and Kessin. These have existed on the main menu of Underlords since the open beta launched in June, and together they play a much larger role in selling people the Season 1 Battle Pass, but we'll get to that in a bit. Thanks to a significant amount of panorama UI images that leaked in this last update, we know that Aeon Disc, Desolator, Diffusion Blade, Ol Scepter, Hand of Midas, Helm of the Dominator, Horn of the Alpha, Indomitable Will, Kaya, Lotus Orb, Mask of Death, Orb of Venom, Quelling Blade, Ring of Health, Satanic, Silver Edge, Stonehall Cloak, Stonehall Pike, Talisman of Evasion, and Vesture of the Tyrant are all being tested to be added into the full game. What I find interesting are items like Horn of the Alpha, Stonehall Cloak, and Stonehall Pike do not exist in Dota, but instead were created specifically for artifacts. And for the temporary art, instead of using anything from Dota, they are straight up ripping the card art and placing it on a circle just to use as a placeholder asset. You also have brand new items to the Dota universe, one called Anesix Gift, which changes a hero's alliance to Demon, as well as everything else they currently hold, Cinderwall, which inside the game's code appears to be a contraption similar to the Barricade, which can light enemies on fire, as well as upgrade random items. Essentially, these items appear to allow the user to upgrade a random unit of a specific tier to level 2, or upgrade a random unit at all to level 3. Now we'll get to the actual meat of this video. DOTA Underlords has been available to be downloaded for free since late June, and this entire time it has been impossible to spend any money in the game. So how will dedicated Underlords players be able to support this game and show that they'd like to see things happen in the future? The Season 1 Battle Pass, and this is going to be a large Battle Pass. First, it comes in two parts, the free content and the paid content. Unlike other popular implementations of Battle Passes, the only way you can earn any of the items on the pass requires payment, very similar to how it's handled in Dota 2. However, there is still free content that will be shipped with Season 1, and that's called City Crawl. Officially titled the White Spire Crawl, this is an extra game mode added into Underlords that is single player and heavily lore driven. You have to remember, the story of Underlords right now is that the main person behind Whitespire, Mama Eve, has passed away, and now these 4 different Underlords of Whitespire are gunning for her seat as essentially the Lord of Whitespire. So this is exactly what City Crawl is. You choose to side with one of the 4 Underlords. You try and take over Whitespire by completing single-player, bot-driven challenges. Each of these challenges takes place in a specific named location in Whitespire that has lore attributed to it. City Crawl starts out with 4 quadrants of Whitespire being split up and given to each of the Underlords, and you, playing as your chosen hero, tries to take over all of Whitespire. Completing challenges awards the player with different cosmetics or experience points for your battle passes. However, people that have paid for the battle pass will be inducted into something called the Secret Society, otherwise known as the Noble Court. There are a lot of different cosmetics related to this system, and the game of City Pass is quite complicated. What's interesting is the developers of Underlords left in quite a few assets related to City Crawl in the update, to the point where what you're looking at is the current implementation of City Crawl in the publicly traded build of Underlords. And by the way, huge shoutouts to PistonMiner for somehow figuring out how to get the current implementation of City Crawl playable and opening in the build of DOTA Underlords that is publicly available. Seriously, he pulled this together. Oh, he's just so great. There are no implemented challenges. However, you have to realize that one of the major facets of this game is building up your Underlord's own ability. This includes earning something called gems. These gems come in 3 flavors: offensive, defensive, and support. And with them, you can upgrade specific facets of your Underlord's abilities in the 3 categories. Very finite upgrades. And over time, you will end with a much stronger Underlord. Now, because you are upgrading a character to be more powerful, balancing something like that would be nearly impossible, driving home the idea that all of City Crawl is single player. As you upgrade your Underlords, you can also choose talent loadouts specifically for City Crawl. You can unlock far more talents than what currently exist in the game and bring them into a loadout so that specific ones are played in specific times during your City Crawl challenges. And the talents alongside the gems are so finite that players will be able to share their loadouts through codes, similar to how decks were shared in Artifact through Steam chat. And of course, we also know that Turbo Mode and Replays are going to be added fairly soon, both of which seem to have a lot of implementation already available in the code currently, and we have been promised both quite a long time ago. So it's just a matter of time before they're added into a random update. Through the Battle Pass and also through City Crawl, the player can also unlock new game boards, such as this one called Town Square, and this one called Farm. You can also unlock loot boxes, and before you click off the video, realize that there is 0 evidence to suggest that these loot boxes are paid, and instead are just boxes that you earn through the Battle Pass, very similar to treasures, except once again, you can't pay for them. These chests, as they're referred to in the game, can include end-of-game poses, as well as avatar pictures. You also have cosmetics for the Underlords themselves, as well as cosmetics for the creeps. You also have an entirely new cosmetic set where you can have cell grinders and many other alternatives. These are creative ways of illustrating the firing or selling of units during a game of Underlords. What seems to be apparent is that the Season 1 Battle Pass and all of the gameplay that takes place through Season 1 will write the lore for the future of the game. Right now, in Season 1, you have 4 Underlords gunning for Mama Eve's seat at Whitespire. There is evidence to suggest that based on how much turf people take for each of the Underlords they pick will choose which Underlord takes Mama Eve's seat. Because when it comes time for Season 2, more Underlords will be added. And we actually know 6 others. There's an entire video on the descriptions and all the information from the lore that we know about these other 6 Underlords on Angermania's channel, linked down to that in the description below. But these people are not from Whitespire, so the story itself will expand outward. When it comes time for Season 2 in 2020, we will be seeing the lore move forward and possibly intersect and bob and weave between the lore of Artifact and Dota 2 as well. Artifact's going to be relaunching soon, so the future lore of that game could very well line up with the lore of Season 2 of Underlords, and we could see characters bob and weave between the two. Lastly, if you want to be able to check out any of the resources that I referenced in this video yourself and maybe draw your own conclusions on these leaks, I have it all packaged up, linked down in the description below to download. If you want to be able to follow up on all of the topics I cover on this channel in real time, check out my Twitter page linked down in the description below. It's at Valve News Network, no K. If you have a question or if you're confused about anything, my Twitter DMs are always open, and my email is tylermcvicker@yahoo.com. If you want to be able to support these videos, my Patreon page is also down in the description below, and thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker, this is Valve News Network. Have a good day. Adios.